They thought they'd buried me. They were wrong. Hey everyone, it's Obadiah Finch. Yeah, I know, sounds like a dusty character ripped straight out of a Dickens novel, right? My folks, bless their overly dramatic hearts, always had a penchant for the theatric. They probably envisioned me wearing a top hat and twirling a handlebar mustache. I'm 38, and until recently, I was your average, run-of-the-mill, beige-wearing mid-level project manager. 10 long years I gave to Innovate Solutions. 10 years sweating blood, inhaling stale coffee fumes, and choking down lukewarm pizza slices for a company that, I genuinely believed, valued my dedication. I was spectacularly, earth-shatteringly wrong. My journey started in the trenches, the mailroom. Sorting envelopes, schlepping packages, and secretly dreaming of writing elegant code algorithms instead of just reading addresses. Slowly, painfully, and with a sheer force of will, I clawed my way up the corporate ladder. I wasn't some coding prodigy, a visionary leader with a silver tongue, or a charismatic charmer who could sweet-talk investors out of their fortunes. I was just, persistent. Good at my job. Loyal to a fault, practically a golden retriever in human form, minus the shedding. I genuinely believed in Innovate Solutions, or at least, I believed in the untapped potential it stubbornly refused to acknowledge. Barnaby. Ugh, just the name leaves a lingering bad taste in my mouth, like accidentally biting into a lemon rind. Barnaby Sterling. My immediate supervisor, a walking, talking embodiment of everything I despised about corporate culture. Picture a weasel crossed with a slick used car salesman perpetually trying to upsell you on rust protection, then dress him in an overpriced, ill-fitting suit. That's Barnaby. He saw me as competition, a threat to his meticulously crafted but ultimately hollow empire of mediocrity, I guess. Always trying to subtly sabotage my projects, steal my ideas and present them as his own strokes of genius, and generally make my life a living, breathing, fluorescent-lit hell. He'd pepper meetings with passive-aggressive jabs, subtly questioning my judgment and making my suggestions seem naive or impractical, as if I'd just crawled out from under a rock. He'd constantly remind everyone, myself included, that he had an MBA from Wharton, brandishing his expensive education like a weapon, as if that somehow made him inherently superior in matters of both intellect and basic human decency. He probably slept with his diploma under his pillow. Then there was Beatrice. Beatrice Davenport. The VP of Marketing, a title that barely scratched the surface of her true power. Beautiful, sophisticated, and utterly, breathtakingly ruthless. She was the architect of Barnaby's ascent, his silent puppet master, whispering poisonous suggestions into the CEO's ear like a modern-day Lady Macbeth with a corporate credit card. She moved with a feline grace that could disarm you instantly, a subtle, almost hypnotic sway that made you forget she was probably calculating your net worth in her head. But behind those impeccably applied eyelashes, those mesmerizing emerald eyes, lurked a calculating mind sharper than a freshly honed katana. I sensed a weird, unsettling energy radiating from her, a subtle flirtation mixed with a blatant power play that made me incredibly uneasy, like walking on thin ice over a shark tank. She'd occasionally invite me for one-on-one brainstorming sessions that suspiciously always involved expensive wine and dimly lit restaurants. I always politely declined her advances by faking to have a serious girlfriend, whom she never met. I am not interested in office romances, especially with anyone who seemed capable of selling their own grandmother for a corner office. Innovate Solutions was riding high for a while, surfing the seemingly endless wave of the tech boom. We were developing innovative software solutions for businesses, promising to streamline their operations, boost their efficiency, and generally make them filthy rich. But somewhere along the line, the focus shifted. We lost our way, sacrificing long-term vision for short-term gains. We became obsessed with quarterly profits, shareholder value, and executive bonuses, sacrificing long-term innovation on the altar of immediate gratification. We started churning out mediocre products, cutting corners to meet unrealistic deadlines, and alienating our loyal customer base. The once proud ship of Innovate Solutions was slowly but surely listing towards the rocks. The tension in the office was palpable, thick enough to cut with a butter knife. You could feel it in the nervous energy buzzing through the hallways, in the hushed whispers around the water cooler, in the strained smiles plastered on everyone's faces. Layoff rumors were constantly circulating, fueled by the company's dwindling financial performance and the increasingly erratic behavior of the executive team. Every Monday felt like walking into a potential massacre, and the air was thick with the unspoken fear of the next round of corporate bloodletting. My anxiety levels were permanently stuck in the red zone. Then came the Friday afternoon of my execution. Barnaby summoned me to his sterile, modern office, a soulless space designed to intimidate rather than inspire. The walls were adorned with generic motivational posters featuring platitudes about teamwork and success, slogans that seemed to mock the dire situation and my impending doom. "Reach for the stars," one cheerfully proclaimed, while I was about to be unceremoniously ejected from the corporate stratosphere. "Obadiah," he said, avoiding eye contact like I was carrying a contagious disease, his voice dripping with fake sympathy thicker than motor oil, "we're restructuring. It's not personal, it's just business." Restructuring. The corporate euphemism for "you're fired," a sanitized term designed to soften the blow of economic devastation. He droned on about budget cuts, strategic realignment, and synergies, the usual corporate jargon carefully crafted to mask the cold, hard truth that I was deemed expendable. He even threw in the classic line about difficult decisions, as if firing me was as painful for him as it was for me, which I highly doubted. He probably celebrated with a champagne toast. They gave me a severance package that barely covered a month's rent in my cramped studio apartment, a perfunctory pat on the back, and a flimsy cardboard box for my personal belongings. 10 years of my life, countless hours of dedication, all effectively reduced to a few staplers, a chipped coffee mug with a picture of a kitten, and a framed photo of my dearly departed goldfish, Finny. Even Finny got more respect than I did at the end. As I walked out, head swimming with disbelief, nausea, and a burning sense of injustice, I passed the break room. And there they were. Barnaby, Beatrice, and a gaggle of corporate vultures, clinking their glasses and celebrating my demise with the gleeful abandon of hyenas feasting on a fresh kill. "Poor Obadiah," Barnaby snickered, swirling the ice in his glass of expensive whiskey, his voice dripping with smug satisfaction. "Never saw it coming, did he? Always so predictable." Beatrice, her voice coated with a saccharine sweetness that made my skin crawl, added, "Obadiah won't be able to land another role in this town. His skill set is antiquated, his network is weak, and he's utterly devoid of ambition. He's yesterday's news, a relic of a bygone era." She probably thought I'd be begging for scraps in a week. I overheard another executive, a portly man named Mr. Henderson, the CFO, chime in, "Good riddance. He was always a bit of a stick in the mud. Too cautious, not enough vision. We need people who are willing to take risks, not play it safe all the time." He clearly forgot I was the person who caught his accounting fraud last year and saved the company millions. That was it. That was the breaking point, the final straw that shattered the camel's back. It wasn't just the firing, it was the blatant disrespect, the casual cruelty, the feeling of being utterly dismissed, devalued, and dehumanized. It was the realization that these were not my colleagues, not my friends, not even remotely decent human beings, but simply opportunistic climbers who would gladly step over my lifeless corpse to get ahead in the cutthroat world of corporate politics. The realization that I had wasted 10 years of my life working for people who didn't give a damn about me. In that moment, something inside me snapped, like a frayed cable finally giving way under immense pressure. The nice guy, the loyal employee, the pushover who always said yes and never complained, he was gone, banished into the abyss of my former self. Replaced by a cold, burning desire for, not revenge, exactly, but justice. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of sweet schadenfreude, the exquisite pleasure of watching my tormentors suffer the consequences of their actions. I walked out of Innovate Solutions that day a changed man. The world looked different, the air felt different, heavier, yet somehow cleaner. The weight of 10 years of stifled ambition, suppressed resentment, and pent-up anger had lifted, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose, a laser-like focus on achieving my goals. I felt like I had been reborn from the ashes of my former self. The next few months were a blur of frantic activity, a whirlwind of research, planning, and relentless dedication. Living off my meager savings, ramen noodles, and sheer willpower, I locked myself in my tiny apartment and devoured every piece of information I could find about Innovate Solutions. I dissected their financial statements, analyzed their market position, identified their weaknesses, and meticulously formulated a comprehensive plan for their downfall, a strategic blueprint for my eventual triumph. I realized that Innovate Solutions, despite its initial success and outward appearance of prosperity, was fundamentally flawed, riddled with weaknesses that could be exploited. They were arrogant, complacent, and unwilling to adapt to the rapidly changing technological landscape. They were clinging to outdated business models, ignoring emerging trends, and alienating their most talented employees with their toxic corporate culture. They were a dinosaur, slowly but surely lumbering towards extinction. While I was there for all those years, toiling away in the trenches, I witnessed everything. I saw firsthand how they treated their employees, how they mishandled their client relationships, how they squandered their resources on frivolous projects and extravagant executive perks. I had a front-row seat to their slow, agonizing decline, and I knew exactly where their vulnerabilities lay. I started small, offering freelance consulting services to businesses in need of innovative solutions. I targeted clients that Innovate Solutions had rejected, ignored, or mishandled, businesses that were hungry for a fresh perspective, a more personalized approach, and a company that actually cared about their success. I built a reputation for being reliable, innovative, results-oriented, and fiercely dedicated to my clients' success. I wasn't playing nice anymore. I was playing to win, and I was playing for keeps. I worked tirelessly, often pulling all-nighters, fueled by caffeine, sheer determination, and a burning desire to prove myself, not just to them, but to myself. Phoenix Tech, my new company, was born out of the ashes of my firing, rising from the wreckage of my shattered career like the mythical bird it was named after. It was a scrappy, agile startup, built on the principles of innovation, collaboration, customer satisfaction, and a healthy dose of righteous indignation. We were lean, efficient, and laser-focused on delivering exceptional value to our clients. And, also, we were significantly cheaper than Innovate Solutions. Our services provided more value with less money, a proposition that proved irresistible to many budget-conscious businesses. We were the David to their Goliath, and we were armed with superior technology and an unwavering commitment to exceeding our clients' expectations. Word of our success spread quickly through the industry grapevine. Clients flocked to us, eager to experience the Phoenix Tech difference, drawn to our innovative solutions, personalized service, and the unwavering dedication of our team. We started picking apart their client base one by one, poaching their most valuable customers and exposing their outdated technology. This put Innovate Solutions in bigger trouble than they already were, accelerating their downward spiral and bringing me closer to my ultimate goal. I assembled a team of talented and dedicated individuals who shared my vision, people who were passionate about technology, committed to excellence, and hungry for success. They were the misfits, the underdogs, the people who had been overlooked and undervalued by other companies. Together, we built a company that was everything Innovate Solutions was not: innovative, adaptable, customer-centric, and fiercely loyal to its employees. Then came my opportunity, the opening I had been waiting for, the moment when the stars aligned and everything fell into place. Innovate Solutions' financial situation deteriorated rapidly. They were hemorrhaging money, their stock price was plummeting faster than a lead balloon, and rumors of bankruptcy swirled like vultures circling a dying carcass. The board was desperate, scrambling for a solution, any solution, to save the company from complete collapse. I knew, with a chilling certainty that ran through my veins like liquid ice, that they would come crawling to me, begging for my help. That's when I made my move, the culmination of months of meticulous planning and strategic execution. Using a complex web of shell corporations, offshore accounts, and strategic investments, I started secretly buying up Innovate Solutions stock. Slowly, quietly, methodically, I amassed a controlling stake in the company, becoming their largest shareholder, the puppet master pulling the strings from behind the scenes. They had no idea that the man they had fired, the man they had laughed at, was now their ultimate owner. The day I took control was surreal, an out-of-body experience that defied description. I walked into their headquarters, not as the fired employee, the humiliated outcast, the insignificant nobody, but as the owner, the one holding all the cards, the master of their fate. Barnaby and Beatrice were ashen-faced, their eyes wide with disbelief, horror, and a dawning sense of dread. They stammered and sputtered, trying to regain their composure, but the fear in their eyes was unmistakable, a clear indication that they knew their carefully constructed world was about to come crashing down around them. It was poetic justice at its finest. The board meeting was a mere formality, a theatrical performance for the benefit of the remaining board members. I presented my plan for restructuring the company, outlining my vision for a brighter, more innovative, and more profitable future. I spoke with authority, confidence, and a quiet sense of satisfaction, knowing that my words held the power to reshape the destiny of Innovate Solutions. The board members, recognizing the inevitable, the crushing weight of my undeniable control, voted unanimously in my favor. I was now the CEO of Innovate Solutions, the very company that had fired me, laughed at me, and discarded me like yesterday's trash. The irony was so thick you could spread it on toast. I won't lie, there was a certain undeniable satisfaction in that moment, a feeling of triumph that washed over me like a tidal wave. Seeing the look on Barnaby and Beatrice's faces, witnessing their carefully constructed world crumble around them, was gratifying, to say the least. It was the ultimate vindication, the sweetest revenge imaginable. But it wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about proving them wrong, about demonstrating that I was capable of far more than they ever believed. It was about showing myself what I was capable of achieving, about transforming my failures into triumphs. It was about building something better, something more meaningful, something that would leave a lasting positive impact on the world. Now that I was in charge, I could lead the company the way I always knew it should be led. I could foster a culture of innovation, collaboration, and respect, where employees were valued, creativity was encouraged, and customer satisfaction was the top priority. I could reverse the mistakes of the past and steer Innovate Solutions towards a brighter, more sustainable future. I've started the process of restructuring the company, not in the cold, heartless, and impersonal way that Barnaby had done, of course. I want to change the way people look at Innovate Solutions, to transform its image from that of a ruthless corporate behemoth into that of a responsible, innovative, and socially conscious organization. I am determined to make my previous employer a better place, a place where employees are valued, customers are respected, and innovation thrives. So, yeah. They laughed when I was fired. They thought I was finished, a washed-up nobody destined for obscurity. But guess what? I rebuilt, I learned, I adapted, and I came back stronger than ever. And now, I own their company. Not a bad ending, right? What can I say? Never underestimate the guy in the mailroom. They thought I was finished. They had no idea I was only just beginning. And Finney? He would have been proud. I'm sure he's swimming in the great fishbowl in the sky, cheering me on.